Hi, Kevin here. Well, we're getting ready to fix an apple pie, and my apples are all prepared, so we're going to start with the crust. First, however, I want to talk with you about the proper type of pie plate to use whenever you're making a fruit pie. What you want to use is a glass pie plate like this one. This is Pyrex. And it measures 9.5 inches in diameter, and it's just shy of 2 inches deep. And the reason you want to use glass is because it conducts heat in a certain way so that you don't end up with a soggy bottom crust. If you use this kind of pie plate, which is very lovely, you can still end up with a soggy crust. All right, we're going to get started on the pie dough. All right, to save time, I'm going to use my little food processor to mix the pastry dough. And this is a 2-crust dough. So what I have here is 3 cups of flour. And to the flour, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. Yes, Tiger, 1 teaspoon of salt. And a 1/4 cup of sugar. And then I want to add the butter, which is in my refrigerator. Hold on. Yeah, that's the thing with an all butter pastry crust. You have to keep the butter cold. So what I have here is 1 cup or 2 sticks of butter. And it seems like a lot of butter, but again, it's a double crust pie. And then pop the lid on, and I'm going to pulse the machine a few times just to break up the butter and to combine the ingredients. Cover your ears, please. This is just a cheap food processor. There's no gasket in the lid, so the flour can billow out. Okay, now I'm going to add the liquid ingredients. So what I have here is 1 egg. So I'll just pour it in this way. This is 1 large beaten egg. And I'm going to add about a 1/4 cup of water. Then I'm going to, and there goes my dog. I'm going to run the machine just until the dough starts to mass on the blade. Okay, let's have a look. Well, it looks pretty good. Now, you know that the dough is ready when you pinch a clump between your fingers and the dough holds together. This is not quite holding together, so I'm going to add a little more water, maybe a tablespoon. Almost there. Needs a little more water. So that was, in total, a 1/2 cup of water. Good. Here it is, pastry dough all made. Okay, I need to fetch my pastry cloth and then I'll show you the next step. All right, here's my pastry cloth. And now I'm going to dump the dough onto the cloth. And the cloth is lightly floured. All of this dough out of here. And then form the dough into a rough ball. By the way, I did not overmix this dough. I make pastry dough this way frequently, and it always works out. It's always light and flaky. Okay, incorporate it in here. Okay, then I want to cut the dough in half. And then form each half into a ball and flatten it into a disc and wrap it in cling film. Okay, and then I'm going to pop the dough into the refrigerator to let it chill for about an hour. This way the butter can firm up and the dough can become fully hydrated. Okay, so when this is good and cold, I'll come back. All right, I actually put the discs of dough in the freezer for about 30 minutes, and that probably wasn't long enough, because it still feels awfully soft in the middle, but I'm going to try rolling it out anyway. So first, beat it into submission. I always do this just to make the dough a little more malleable. Okay, and my pastry cloth is once again lightly floured. I'm going to add just a little more flour up here, again because the dough feels soft in the center, and I think maybe it's too mushy from the butter that hasn't firmed up yet. Anyway, what we're going to do is roll the dough into a 12-inch diameter disc, or maybe just slightly larger. I do like using a pastry cloth because really nothing sticks to it. And it's really easy to clean up too. You can throw it in the washing machine on the cool cycle. Use cool water. But I rarely wash my pastry cloth. I just shake off any debris, and then I fold it up, tuck it inside of a plastic Ziploc bag, and then I store it in the freezer. And then it's always ready for pie crust duty. Well, this rolled out much more easily than I anticipated. Okay. I think we are pretty good. I'm going to verify this by holding my pan here. No, I want to go just a little bit larger. If your dough starts to crack at all, just take the palm of your hand and go around the edge. The goal is to thicken the edge. If the edge is too thin, the dough will tend to crack. But even cracked dough can be good dough. In the same way that a bruised apple is still a good apple. Well, it's good if you're going to bake with it. Okay, now fold the dough into a triangle. I'm going to fetch my pie plate. You do not have to grease the pie plate. There's so much butter in this dough, nothing is going to stick. Oh, gorgeous. Look at this. Now, you don't want to stretch the dough. You just want to ease it into the pie plate. Like so. Yes, Tiger. One must ease the dough into the pie plate. And then just press down along the contours of the pan to make sure the dough is settled in there. All right. Okay, now I'm going to pop this into the refrigerator while I roll out the other dough. All right, my top crust is rolled out. I'm going to set this aside for just a moment so that I can show you the apples. And here they are. These are Honeycrisp apples that I peeled, cored, and sliced on my nifty apple corer peeler slicer gadget. And I made a video about that gadget this morning, so please watch it if you have a moment. So now, I have the apples in salted water. I probably added about a teaspoon of salt to this water. Salt is terrific because the apples will not oxidize when they are in salt water. Salt is even more efficient than lemon juice for anti-apple oxidation. Okay, I'm going to drain the apples and then come right back. I have 9 big apples here, and it's probably too many. So we'll see. Better to have too many apples than too few. Now here's how I'm going to treat the apples. I'm going to give them 1 cup of sugar and 1/3 of a cup of cornstarch. That's the thickener. You could use flour, but in my experience, cornstarch is a better juice absorber than flour. It's infinitely better than flour. Then I'm going to add a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Yeah, I'm not going to add too much stuff to this mix because I really want the apple flavor to shine through. And finally, a 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, which I have to sniff first because I absolutely adore the scent of nutmeg. I'm going to whisk all of this together. The cornstarch is going to have some lumps, but as you whisk it against the sugar, the lumps will break up. All right, now here's the challenge. I need to mix all of this into the apples, and I really do think I have too many apples here, so hold on. Fetching a bowl. We are going to remove some of these apples, and then we'll see if we need them later on. Okay, in they go. And then spatula. Give these a toss. You could actually mix this with your hands. Now, when my grandmother made apple pie, my paternal grandmother, I'm talking about, my father's mother, she always served it with big, thick slices of extra sharp cheddar cheese. Boy, was that a delicious combination. If you've ever tried apple pie with sharp cheddar cheese, post a comment below. I don't know if that was just a regional thing or what. My grandmother was of German-French descent, so maybe it's a German thing or a French thing. All right, these are mixed enough. And that does look like a considerable quantity of apples. Now, where's my... Oh yes, I put it in the refrigerator. Hang on. I feel so comfortable with you that I can just walk off camera. Okay, now in goes the apples. Yeah, we have a lot of apples here. Oh boy. But I do want to pile them high. I think I'm going to cook the surplus apples separately. In fact, I know I'm going to cook the surplus apples separately. I can probably do something very interesting with them. Okay, then, wipe my hands, the top crust. And I'm going to put this on a baking sheet, just to make it easier to transfer to the oven, which, by the way, has preheated to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. Here's the top crust. Gorgeous crust. It's going to be my favorite part of this pie. Okay, then what you do is fold the two crusts, or press the two crusts together and fold down. Now the thing about all butter pastry crusts is that you really have to keep everything cold. That's a good excuse to use shortening instead of butter, because shortening you do not have to chill. And also, crusts made with shortening hold their decorative edges very well, much better than all butter crusts do. And I'm going to make a semi-decorative edge on this, but it will probably just flatten out in the oven. I mean, that typically happens with all butter crusts. Okay, now, let me have a look at this. Go farther down here. All right, then, okay, I'm just going to pinch an edge on the crust. My crust is already getting really soft. I should put this back in the refrigerator, but I'm in a hurry to try this pie. Also, it's getting late. It's already 7:14 in the evening. And we're heading into autumn, so it's dark outside. Okay, now I'm going to flute. And I'm just pushing the dough with my right hand index finger. Yeah, I'm pushing my right index finger between my thumb and index finger of the other hand. Oh, this dough is getting too soft. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to put this back in the refrigerator. Hold on. Okay, this video is going south very quickly. We'll be back. All right, we're going to try this again. I had it in the freezer for about 10 minutes, just to firm up that butter a little bit. Okay, well, it doesn't look as pretty as I wanted it to look, but it's going to taste like $1,000,000, all right? So now I have to make some venting holes, and I just use a knife and make 5 slits in the crust. Now, if you wanted to, you could put a egg wash glaze on this, and that would make the crust turn very brown indeed. But what I'm going to do is just put it as it is into the oven, and it's going to bake for 40 to 50 minutes, probably closer to 50 minutes. Oops. probably closer to 50 minutes. All right, and when this gets done, we'll come back. Oh, and I'm not going to put it on the baking sheet. I'm going to put it in the oven just like this. All right, here's the pie. It looks beautiful. The crust got nicely browned. And let me show you something. Yeah, if you want to keep the outside crust from getting too dark, you'll want to put strips of aluminum foil or one of these really nifty pie shields over the pie when it first goes into the oven. And then you remove the shield during the last 15 minutes of baking. And this did bake for a full hour until the juices started to bubble out of the venting holes. Anyway, I'm going to let this cool and then we can have a taste of it. All right, it's time for a taste. Although this pie is still way too hot. It was too hot to cut, it's probably too hot to eat, but I am hungry and it is getting late. And if you're wondering what happened with the surplus apples, well, I went ahead and topped them with brown sugar and butter, and then I baked them in the oven along with the pie. So we can enjoy these with another meal. All right, here goes. The crust is very flaky. Bon appetit. This is wonderful. Oh, absolutely wonderful. And I forgot, I have some softened ice cream over here. Oh, yum, yum, yum. I wish you were here to join me. Oh yeah, it's exquisite. I could have added more sugar, I think, to the apples. Honeycrisp is not particularly sweet, but this is really terrific. Well, I hope you will give this apple pie a try. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to list the ingredients that I used in the description box below, and then please just watch the video for the instructions. And thank you for staying up so late with me. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.